Confident misinformation, plus a little news. Confident misinformation to take away my blues. Confident misinformation.
Read all about it. Read
There he
all
goes. There we
about
go.
it. Sunday papers. Little Nashville flair. We're giving it a little bit of Nashville flair. Mike is out there with his fiance.
Driving around on a motorcycle today in 90-degree heat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but 90 degrees, that's not fun at stoplights, I'll tell you that.
Do you
Traffic lights.
do you wear long pants in case you fall off?
No, and the most absurd I've ever looked, and I deserve all the ridicule, I have put my golf dress, which is cartoonish, you know, a shirt that's way more fun than my disposition, and then like athletic old man shorts, and then a bag of golf clubs across my back on the motorcycle. Yeah, that's what I'm doing down here. Yes, that's me.
You're not turning into your father, are you? Because your dad famously wears like yellow pants and a lime green shirt.
Well, Chris Weinstein was in town, a good friend of mine from New York, stayed with me for like 8 nights or something. And
That's a bit much.
it's a bit much, but he was working a lot. So
Yeah.
he was just, but we did 2 movies, which we'll talk about later. We looked up the 100 best movies of all time. On that list, 2 different lists, we couldn't find a movie that both of us hadn't seen. So we chose 2 other legendary movies. But anyway, he saw, so I buy all my pretentious golf shirts for like $5, and they'll say either a corporate name.
Is that the thrift store?
I just got a Peter, that Peter Millar designer or whatever. Like those are the highest end, right? The shirts are $110, $15, tags still on it, brand new. But I don't know what the company says. I hope they don't like traffic human beings.
Right.
I don't even know. I didn't even Google what the hell. What happened is they print them up all for their thing. Here you go. And they're gifts at retreat. And then they wind up being given away.
Well, your father sent me as a gift a Rush Limbaugh golf ball that he found on a golf course with his name on it. I guess that's the thing when you get big is you put your name on your golf ball.
And you don't realize how Rush did not count that ball lost.
Exactly.
It dropped one right out of his pocket. It was found.
Yeah. It was like the votes in Georgia.
Exactly.
So I played golf today with our friend Chris Chaney, who is the bass player for Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
He quit the band. We're not going to get in. I don't know if he has a non-disclosure. We're not going to talk about why he quit the band about a year ago after all those years. But he has been on tour for the last 9 months with AC/DC. He is now AC/DC's bass player and flying a private jet that used to be owned by the head guy of the United Arab Emirates. It's like the most. They get on the plane and it's white linen, lobster, there's 4 stewardesses for 10 passengers, and they know what you like. They know that he likes golden fucking cherries or something, and they're there every flight, and they stay in the 4 seasons. And this shows, he said, the smallest crowd they had was 60,000 people. And the biggest one was 130,000 people. And the tickets go on sale.
Was that the one in Germany?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But they go on sale and they sell out in 90 minutes. Like the whole fucking tour goes in 90 minutes.
I talked to him a lot. I saw him a few weeks ago when he got back, and which was so great because it's like, Angus Young was on my wall, was a poster on my wall. He's up there in the pantheon of teenage Mike Gibbons heroes. And it was the best to hear him talk about how nice Angus is.
Yeah.
And Angus, I don't believe, has any children. And he's the last, I believe he's the last of 5 brothers alive, I think. Who would have guessed Angus? And he just hung out with Chris the most because he like didn't have extended family on the tour with them or anything like that. And Chris was just like, he could not have been nicer.
Yeah.
And then Chris at one point goes, sorry, name drop Palooza. But he was talking to Grohl, who he's friends with. Chris is friends with him. And he goes, Grohl just when I talked about how amazing the experience was and also how tight it was. He goes, Grohl thinks they are the tightest rhythm section in the history of rock and roll.
Really?
And then Chris, knowing that, would dig deep into it. And of course, I'm going to get a lot of this wrong probably, but he dug deep into it and he goes, most of Back in Black, I think, is 3 tracks. They did it live to tape, then a solo, and then lyrics. I think, people will probably write in and correct me, but I think AC/DC is very well known among engineers and people in the business for like very live to tape, never a click track. That's the other thing. Never a click track. And Chris, as the bassist, is like, it's unbelievable how tight they are.
Yeah, he said it was just unbelievable, and of course when that Jane's Addiction incident happened, like our text chain lit up about what the whatever. I don't want to get into his business, but I think everybody was having a good time when that
There are
happened.
a lot of people. Well, one of the best comments that was under it, not on our text chain, on Twitter, was what is it? Well, they don't call it Jane's sobriety.
I almost got in a fight with Dave Navarro, right?
I remember that, but then you became buddies.
Then we became friends. I was on the Stern Show, and I was talking about how he was sitting in the front row of the Porn Awards when I was hosting, and that he was like looking at his phone and ignoring me, and it was very distracting. And so I told it on Howard Stern. So he comes on a month later, and Stern plays me saying that in front of him, and so he starts talking shit about me, and then I went back on and I challenged Navarro to a fight. And then he talked back about it, went back and forth, and then it died out. And then about a year later, I was the head writer on Dave Attell's The Gong Show for Comedy Central. And so Dave Navarro comes in, and he's one of the judges on the show. He's a celebrity judge, and my job is to meet with the celebrity judges and tell them about the contestants and help them think of jokes. And so I walk into his dressing room, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and he goes, "You still want to fight?" And we just fucking started laughing. And then he came on my podcast probably 7 times after that.
No, I remember. You guys would have such fun, and he was such a cool guy.
Such a cool and smart as shit. Really, really intelligent guy.
And I think he's emotionally smart now, and that was a big part of what was going on in the band. I think, in my opinion, I think it was getting harder and harder to tolerate anyone in the band who was being far from professional and probably had some demons of some sort. And I think Grohl is emotionally evolved enough now where that's intolerable. Navarro. Navarro's. Just quickly before we move on. Back in Black, just because that thing was like the center of my like 8th grade.
I have a collection of perfect albums. I have about 7 or 8 perfect albums, and Back in Black is one of them, where every single track is perfect.
If you put it on beginning to end, it begins with the church bell, and that is Bon Scott died. It seemed like the end of them, and then they got the new singer. This is the first track he's ever going to appear on, but it's this church bell, and it's marking the end, but yet the beginning. And so if you take out the 3 giant hits, which is Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, and we'll put Hell's Bells in there. We'll remove 3 hits from an album. Giving the Dog a Bone, Rock and Roll, Shoot to Thrill. Shoot to Thrill.
Yeah.
Let Me Put My Love Into You. Have a Drink on Me.
Yeah.
What Do You Do for Money, Honey? Shake a Leg, and Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. It's insane.
And the first words coming out of the gate on this album, I'm rolling thunder, pouring rain, I'm coming on like a hurricane. White lightning's flashing across the sky. You're only young, but you're gonna die. Hello.
And I get it. This is not Radiohead. This is not Radiohead. This is not Frank Zappa. Like, I understand how simple it is, but it's the purity. It is the goddamn purity of this thing. It's so direct. It's amazing.
And it's also like the way they are commenting on rock and roll as they do it. Like, giving the dog a bone is like it's hilarious. It's so blatant sexuality, and they do it straight face. And then they inspired. You ever hear of The Darkness?
Yeah.
Like, The Darkness is the parody version of AC/DC, which isn't to take away that they're musically unbelievable. But AC/DC went right on the line of parody, but didn't cross it.
Right. Isbell had a funny thing. I'm not going to find it, but he talked about, he struggles with rock lyrics because he goes, say what you will, but like that's an art. And, country lyrics I got down, but rock lyrics, and he goes, and then some rock lyrics, and then he quoted AC/DC, and it sounds like he could be easily making fun of it because some of the lines are just so bombastic and at a 14-year-old level, which is why they hit me so hard. But he goes, but that's genius. He's like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And also, if I did do it, it wouldn't seem like true.
Yeah.
But it is true for them. And
Right.
and he was very respectful. It was great.
You've sent me clips of them live. There's one from Europe. I can't remember what country. Maybe it's Germany. And the fucking stage is literally like bouncing up and down. They are so insane.
Yeah.
And the energy of the crowd. I mean, I've never seen energy like that from a crowd.
Oh, and it's truly like Beavis and Butthead. I mean, he is on the floor running in circles while playing a guitar solo,
Right.
running in a circle while laying on the floor.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the foot never stops in the sort of Chuck Berry-ish duck walk.
Well, they're going to tour in the spring. They're doing a U.S. tour.
It's the first major concert my girls ever saw. I took them, and of course, I thought it was a goodbye. I took them to see them at Dodger Stadium.
Wow.
And Liz, the ex, I could have gotten in real trouble on this one, goes, please stop at a pharmacy and get earplugs for him. And I'm like, that's the lamest grandma advice ever. And then I'm like, and you're bumming me out on my way to see fucking Angus. And so the only reason I stopped was it was a little like the advice I gave the kids, like, just bring your fucking jacket. You don't have to wear it, right?
Yeah.
But you'll have it. So I also did it to cover my ass. I didn't want to get in trouble. Dude, thank God I brought it. Even with the earplugs in, the girls were like this, holding their ears saying it's too loud.
How far back were you from the stage?
Pretty far. And it was
Wow.
Dodger Stadium, which I didn't think was
Jesus,
going to be that loud.
No kidding. Really? Well, they have the Guinness Book. I don't know if they still do, but at a certain point, they had the Guinness Book of World Records for the loudest concert. It was at Madison Square Garden. I'm curious
Wow.
if it's still the loudest. But And then what is this? You saw Tedeschi Trucks?
No, tomorrow, which is, last night, because today's Friday. But tomorrow night, they are playing this tiny outdoor amphitheater here. And I could not be more thrilled to go see them.
Whoa.
No, listen, man, it's the closest I'm ever going to get to see Dwayne Allman, who I sort of worship. And we won't make this a whole music podcast. But for those listeners out there who don't really know Tedeschi Trucks, I don't even know how to pronounce it. But get this. You want to hear a song they played 2 weeks ago? State Trooper.
What's that?
From Nebraska.
From the
Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen album? Oh, really?
Yeah.
No shit.
And Bring It On Home, in parentheses, the Led Zeppelin version of the Sonny Boy Williamson. And to hear him play Zeppelin, it's insane.
Wow.
They also played Atlantic City. And the other night they opened their show with the Beatles, I've Got a Feeling.
Wow. Does Springsteen ever jump up on stage with them?
Soul Sacrifice from Santana. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please. No, but they've kind of played with everybody. Everyone loves when Trucks is on stage with them. You know, he just is. It's such another level. So you'll always see him playing with people. If you look him up on YouTube, you'll find him playing with some, because that's kind of what he did before he married Susan Tedeschi, and now they have their own band. But he was in the Allman Brothers forever.
Wait, what's his name again?
Derek Trucks.
Derek Trucks.
He was a prodigy. He's related. He's related to the Allman Brothers. Like his uncle's the drummer, one of the drummers, I think. I should know that. I
want to also take a break from the music to thank you guys for the support on the special. We just hit 340,000 views.
Nice.
In 3 weeks, way more than I expected. Thank you. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. It's called You Know Me. Comment, like it, share it. Let's keep the magic rolling. I promoted it this week on Bert Kreischer's podcast. It's such a blast. I said to Bert, I go, Bert, you're like a Corvette in a UPS truck. You're like a Corvette engine in a UPS truck.
I've never heard a better description of a person in my life. Yeah.
And then
all the images that come to it also, like, anyone that's in that truck is in shorts.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's a lot of gas. And then And then yesterday I went up to the Valley, and Howie Mandel had me on his podcast, and his studio, I just have to talk about it. 30,000 square feet is one building. Then there's a second building next to it. And there are podcast companies within the studio. There's a hologram. There's a whole wing that is, those comedy holograms that they're doing?
Comedy what?
They're holograms. Like they did.
Oh, no. Oh, yes. We were going to use one on the roast. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We studied this technology. It's
crazy. And so he's got all that. He's got Bill Maher's company has a bunch of podcasts going. They've got a green screen. Jeff Ross was coming in to shoot something. It's like an incubator space. Like if you literally, Mike, if you ever want to shoot something, he's got the cameras. He's got the equipment. He just wants people coming in and using it. It's incredible. He gave me a 90-minute tour of the studio after we did the podcast. He's the fucking nicest guy.
White glove tour. I bet it was very dust-free and neat.
He put his arm around me when we took a picture together.
No.
I was shocked. I'm
shocked even hearing it.
Yeah. We want to thank Callie Kahn for this week's logo. Alfred E. Newman with us on his hands as puppets. Really fucking cool.
That is very cool.
Moses James did the song this week.
He played it for me. He kind of, I think he was talking about the Fitztiger.
Might have been.
Fast with the facts.
And again, we're not looking. You don't have to orchestrate. By the way, some people have sent us AI songs. Please, we don't use those. We appreciate the effort, but I feel like it takes away from the people that are actually creating music themselves.
I love AI.
If it's you do?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I? I'm going to start using it.
I should start using it.
I can't write a first draft. I'll avoid it like the plague. Write me a piece of shit. Because that's whatever, the best therapist advice were. Just write a piece of shit. Just write a piece of shit. Get it over with. Well, now someone can do that for me.
Right. All right.
I'm teaching a screenwriting class at USC right now. And I go, one of the dumb tricks, believe it or not, this is the mentality of a writer and how excruciating the blank page can be. They're like, write interior, living room, day, whatever the first thing you think is going to be. Return, and then write the end. But put the end in there.
Oh, I like that.
And all of a sudden it becomes easier for you to write in between.
Right. Yeah. I got a screenplay I've been dying to write for the last 10 years. And then Harlan Williams, I was on his podcast, and he challenged me. He goes, I'm going to give you 6 months. I'm not going to hound you. I'm not going to follow up. He goes, but you're going to write that script. And then the special happened. But now that I've got some time, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write this screenplay.
That's another thing people do for procrastination is you can use someone to keep you honest. So like Harlan Williams, you'd give him a picture of you naked or something, and he's going to publish it if you don't finish it. Or maybe a little easier, you're going to give him, $500.
Yeah. Yeah. And it
all
doesn't
you
have to be a good draft. It just has to be
Right.
120 pages of screenplay.
Right. Well, thank you, Callie, if that is your name, because Greg typed it in there, Kally. And Moses, thank you so much for sending those.
Yes, and we're always looking for new material, and I have to apologize. I'm a little behind on emails that are sent to the site because I've been on the road nonstop, but I have some time now. I'm going to Alaska next week for 4 days. May have some time on my hands. So keep sending them in. Thank you.
You're going to Fairbanks?
Going to Fairbanks.
I told you about, right? I think it's Fairbanks where they have those fights, like
What?
to settle issues. It's like a small claims court, but it's a boxing ring.
No.
Yeah, I couldn't be making this up. There's something, and reality TV was all over. There's something like that going on up there. It might be Tuesday nights.
Amazing.
I don't know. Someone fact check me on that. But wait a minute. I wanted to say something else before you get into your dates. Never mind. Are we doing correction first?
Speaking of corrections, this is from Clark. And I don't know if we already corrected this. We may have. If not, I'm guessing you had a pile of people correct you on the fact that 40% of a foot is 3 inches. I'm not going to correct you. I'm going to congratulate you for being so certain of your math that you repeated it. Yes, 4 is 40%. 40% of 12 is 3. You got another adult to just agree with you on that. No pushback at all.
No. I was like, really? And I'm like, okay. That's all I did.
All right, so 40% of a foot. All right, if a foot is 12, then 40% is 4.8.
What happened?
40% of a foot is 4.8 inches.
Is that what it is?
Well, because you multiply it. You go 12 times 4 is 48, and then you put in a decimal point, 4.8.
I'm not even trying. Yeah, you got 50% at 6, right? And
Yeah.
And then 4 would be 1/3. All right.
Yeah. Tour dates.
People are driving off the road right now listening to us.
Since my special has blown up, my agent's phone is ringing off the hook. I got a ton of new dates that just came in the last 2 weeks. I'm gone until fucking March.
It's
man.
unbelievable how many you have.
Temecula. No, that's gone already. Alaska, Tulsa, Kansas City, Philly, Tacoma, San Francisco, Tempe, Cleveland, Atlanta, Janesville, Wisconsin, Nyack, New York, Raleigh, North Carolina, Milwaukee, Vegas, Hollywood, Pittsburgh. Go to fitzdog.com. Get some tickets before they're gone. It's a brand new hour. Nothing from the special. If you've seen the special, you'll see a new hour. That's it.
Look at you, man.
Today's podcast is brought to us and sponsored by GameTime.com. Not .com. It's GameTime.
Here's what I'm doing.
It's actually GameTime.co, but it's just the app. Go to the app.
I am using Game Time between now, well, actually in the next 24 hours. It's already up on my phone. Look at it right there.
What are you
to go
getting?
see this concert tomorrow at this amphitheater, Ascend Amphitheater, which is right on the water. It's great. Tedeschi Truck. So,
Who you going with?
well, that's the interesting little fly in the ointment. I was going with Hannah, and now a friend is joining. So I now have to change my look for 3. Does it get harder? Probably. If we want seats, if we want general admission lawn, $85 a ticket right there.
Damn, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm really very excited. Anyway, go Game Time. I love it. And one of the reasons I do it, especially as I'm watching them drop and everything, it's the all-in price. You don't have to, it takes the guesswork out of like doubling it like you have to do in their competitor sites and apps. So
I mean, think about it. $85. That could be like a pair of jeans that you buy that sit in the back of your dresser that you forget about and you feel good about for 5 minutes. You go to this concert, I remember almost every concert I've ever been to. It's like a memory that brings me joy whenever I conjure it up. Same for sporting events, same for comedy shows, theater. You can get it all on Game Time. and you'll get the
85
best
bucks.
price.
I don't know if I could meet someone for 2 drinks. I have 2, they have 2, and get out of there. I'm not getting out of there for less than 85.
Right. So do it
because I'm a
Game
great
Time has-
tipper.
You can look from your seat at what it looks like all over around you. Lowest price guarantee. What else? Anyway, you guys
They
get
have
it.
deals. They have hot deals also, and flash deals. They also tell you they rate the seat on like what's the best. Like it's
Yeah.
like this is a hot deal.
Right.
So it's very cool to see that before you go in.
All
So
right,
take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PAPERS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PAPERS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
All right. Do you have
All
paper?
right.
I got chocolate
don't.
chip cookies.
There you
I
go.
got chocolate chip cookies right here. What a crinkle.
Extra, read all about it. Extra.
The lead story, I'm going to say in the world, Sean Diddy Combs is in jail. He also had his first meal in a rat-infested prison. We're going to get to rats in our next story. And he's only allowed 3 showers a week.
Oh,
How is he going to wash off all the baby oil with only 3 showers a week?
did he shower? Maybe.
Diddy. Combs was taken into custody in New York earlier this week on allegations of racketeering and sex trafficking. He appeared in court for his second bail application, but his $50 million bond plea was dismissed, citing him as a flight risk.
Whoa.
They turned down $50
Well, because
million.
last time, remember, he got on his jet and he flew to like the Bahamas, or he went to some island in
Yeah.
the Caribbean.
Or his plane did, right? But here's what I'm thinking. So who gets that $50 million if he does flee? Like,
Good question.
Couldn't the city be like $50 million and he's a flight risk? It can't get better than that. We're 2
Yeah.
for 2. Let's do it.
Right.
So Sean Diddy Combs forced women into sick, and this is what the phrase everyone's throwing around. He forced women into sick freak-off sex sessions with male prostitutes that were often recorded while he masturbated.
Wait,
The
wait a
music
minute.
mogul-
There's male prostitutes that have sex with women?
Yeah, I know. You haven't experienced it. How would you know?
What do you mean?
Well, because you're sleeping with them.
With male prostitutes?
Yes, apparently. The music mogul, 54, allegedly got his female victims into the days-long sexual performances as part of his alleged pattern of abuse dating back for more than a decade. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that he arranged, directed, and often electronically recorded. The regularly occurring freak-offs could last for days, and Combs and the victims would often receive IV fluids in the aftermath to recover from the exertion and drug use. Get this. His employees allegedly helped him facilitate the freak-offs by arranging travel, booking hotel rooms where they would take place, and stocking the rooms with drugs, baby oil, lubricants, and extra linen. And my first thought is, Jesus, what a respect for these workouts. Is there a work release program where Diddy can help the Jets out? Just that makes sure their facility has everything they need.
Right.
IV fluids.
Yeah, they need some days-long training sessions and some IV. Yeah. It really makes me think like this is like, where does this drive to this level of sex? Like, I've been having sex with the same woman for 25 years. And you know
It's
what?
disgusting. You say it too often. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I appreciate it every time. I never get tired of it. And this all sounds so incredibly exhausting and unnecessary. And I just like to add, is there video? Do you know if there's video?
There's 100% video. They have it. Now I don't know if this is true or not, but I have read in news publications that people have said that some of the women didn't look fully conscious or like
God.
fully aware of what was happening. Put it this way.
Jesus.
They are not letting him go on $50 million bail. Like, in other words, they're not taking it. So there are things there for sure.
Huh.
I love the
Wow.
rumors that Ben Affleck was shown footage of J-Lo in one of these.
No way.
And by the way, that is full on rumor. Like, yeah, but it's out there. It's been written about a lot. I'm not saying it's true at all.
Well,
But-
I mean, this is a little mini Epstein's Island. I think that there's probably a lot of celebrities that came through these freak offs.
I said it before. Once again, Diddy, not original work. He's sampling Jeffrey Epstein. That's what he does. He samples anything that's well known that Diddy does. It was not original.
So he's in a rat-infested jail. I wonder what jail he's in.
It's in Brooklyn. I did read that.
Wow. Dude,
Yeah.
that's not my worst nightmare. My worst nightmare is being on a fishing boat off Alaska in the winter on like those 3-month trips they take. That's my worst nightmare. My second is being in a rat-infested jail.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. It seems like the rats wouldn't have a lot to eat and stuff. Like, a jail is the coldest. It's all hard surfaces. I don't know. It seems like the least.
You never saw the jail shows? They're all cooking. They got ramen. They got all kinds of food in their room, and they're not in their
Yes.
room all the time.
In your movie jail sequences that you've seen from old prisons, but I don't know if these cells in this jail in Brooklyn are going to be. They're not slicing garlic with a razor blade.
Yeah, all right. Well, speaking of rats,
Okay, this is simple. There was a new study came out. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's the 5 most rat-infested cities in America are revealed, and I'm gonna have you guess what they are. Now, they did this. Let me find this in the story. I think they did it by how many times or the quantity of hours that rat removal services were used from city to city.
okay.
I think that's the Sharp Brothers found when examining the number of times each query was entered per million searches, whatever. Anyway, 5 cities with the most rats. Greg, you want to start at number 5?
All right,
however you
start
wanna
at
do it.
5. I'm going to go New Orleans. New Orleans.
Oh, they have states here too. No, New Orleans is a good guess. It did not make the list.
Because it smells like sewage and it's at sea level. Let me try.
Sea level is a pretty good indicator.
All right, so you don't want me to, because number 1 I can tell you right now is New York City. There's no doubt.
Number 1 is New York City.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. You go with
Even
this-
though Mayor, I love this line, despite Mayor Eric Adams last year employing a quote rat czar.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep. No, you go to the subway in New York at night, and they're literally just running all over the tracks. You go to, Union Square. You go to anywhere at night, any park at night. They're everywhere. Every time you walk past a pile of garbage, rats are running around in the garbage. It's ridiculous.
Oh boy, they're all liberal cities. Boy, are we going to get an earful.
All right, I'm going to do
Okay.
this for you. I got to guess Philly is somewhere on this list.
I loved it. Philly is, and they're talking about the people who are the rodents. They have to grease up the poles so those rodents don't crawl up the poles like animals. Philly is number 4.
I'm trying to think, though, of warmer cities that might have a lot of rats.
You're not going to get, I don't know if you're going to get the rest.
If we're going big cities, I'll go Chicago.
Nope. And I would have said Baltimore, and I would have been wrong.
Well, Los Angeles.
Yes, number 2.
Yeah. We just had a rat run through our yard 2 days ago.
But I mean, if it's per million, maybe it's just these are the 2 biggest, most populous cities. So maybe that has something to do with it.
What
Okay.
else is Miami.
So third. Oh, sorry. Third was L.A.
Okay. So I
You're
got
missing-
Philly, I got LA, I got New York.
You're missing 2 and 5.
It's not Chicago. 2 and 5. I'll go Boston.
The dig was huge, and they
Right.
had the biggest rat problem, but no.
Houston.
Oh, that's interesting. No.
Chicago.
All right, let me give you a
All right,
hint.
give them to me.
It's the most criticized city in the country right now, I'd say.
DC.
DC's number 5, pal.
There we go.
I would never have guessed DC.
Oh no, DC's gross.
But that's not the most criticized, in my opinion. The most criticized major city in America.
Most criticized major city in America.
Uh,
Not Chicago?
Well, I get,
Chicago's very criticized.
When
They
I
have the
say
highest
that,
murder
all
rate,
of a
I
sudden,
think.
someone could rightfully say Portland or Seattle, but it's not those two.
All right, what is it?
San Francisco
Oh, of course.
is number 2.
Okay, yeah. All right.
If you have a wharf, if one of the most famous things in
Yeah,
your city
right.
is a wharf, you got rats.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on. The Trump-endorsed candidate in North Carolina's gubernatorial race could soon lose his spot on the ticket due to an in-house ouster. North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. This guy's a peach. He is a Hitler-quoting, gay-bashing, conspiracy-touting anti-Semite. I think that's redundant. I mean, you already put Hitler-quoting.
Yeah.
Most of those are anti-Semites. And he's drawn immediate comparisons to Donald Trump for his bombastic orations and loyal GOP following. On Thursday, though, a bombshell report revealed that Robinson had written on a pornography website's message board about his desire to own slaves, his peeping in women's locker rooms, and his
Ooh.
enjoyment of transgender porn. Quote, I like watching tranny on girl porn. That's fucking hot. It takes the man out while leaving the man in. Oh, he's a comedy writer too. Robinson, he wrote that in one comment on the site, and the site was Nude Africa. And he's like, and yeah, I'm a perv too. Republican strategists are worried that Mark Robinson could cost Donald Trump a crucial swing state. Cost him? Won't this win it for him? That's my first response.
Well, first of all, this guy is making Diddy's freak-offs look like fucking tea parties. This guy, if he could have got into one of Diddy's parties, I think that would be a dream for him.
And for those who don't know, here's a nice little detail. Mr. Mark Robinson is black.
No.
The guy who wrote about his desire to own slaves.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he said white slaves. I
Well,
have no idea.
First of all, like,
I don't know if I want to get in this guy's head.
I'm fascinated by anybody who writes comments on a porn site. Like you're done. You've accomplished what you came there to do. When that happens to me, I'm done. I cannot close my internet browser fast enough once it's mission accomplished. Like to loiter and say like, here's what I liked. That's so fucking weird.
No, I understand the guys. I've never written on. I think to me it's obvious. Like I don't know I can't imagine anyone who has. But if you're gonna write, I could understand writing before, like when you get there, and those things would make more sense. Like how people and writers, especially in writers' rooms, they're like, "What's your porn search word? What's your thing you search for?" You want to know a great phrase to search?
What?
Is name please.
What's that?
Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's when there's someone like so impressive or attractive or whatever it is. And if you go down to the comments, I guarantee you will see angrily typed in caps, name please. It's the funniest thing to me. Because, we did a bit to make myself seem a little less creepy. we did a bit on the Ben show where we had, maybe this makes me seem more creepy, where we had a barbershop quartet read the funniest porn titles we could find that week. And it was
that's
really,
great.
really funny.
That's
yeah.
great. All right, so this guy bought a historic cruise ship that he found on Craigslist.
Wait, hold on. We're in a new news story. You're not talking about the anti-Semite slave owner.
No.
Wannabe. Okay, we're moving on.
New story. This guy bought a historic cruise ship he found on Craigslist in 2008. His guy name is Chris Wilson. He spent 15 years restoring this 300-foot vessel. It's got 85 cabins, a swimming pool, and a theater, and he moved into it. He poured his life savings into it, and then he was going to turn it into a museum. So he finished, and then it fucking sank. 7 months later, it fucking sank. Which I'm fucking pissed. I was booked there in November. And I just would have loved to have been on stage performing as it's sinking. I would have been like on the Titanic. Remember when the orchestra kept playing? I would just keep doing my act. Sir, what do you do for a living? Hopefully you're a professional swimmer because you're going to need it right now. Thank you. Man, what's your name?
This crowd work's getting easier as more of you drown. Well, great. I mean, look at you, though. Look how all you needed to feel like a man again was buying a used Mustang. You didn't have to buy a boat.
Why do you have to say used? It's 2 years. It's 2 years old. I consider that new.
We talked about
miles.
it. By the way, so I was at the Emmy party last week, Netflix's Emmy party, which should have been way better than it was. I mean, if you're the disruptor like that, if you're the I mean, they're just destroying it, and it should have been the greatest party ever. Anyway, HBO's is still better. And Bert Kreischer and his lovely wife Leanne were there, and we talked. They said you were like a little schoolboy who rolled up to their house to do the podcast, and they had to go out and take a tour of the car, and they said it was the cutest thing they had ever seen.
Well, it was cute until they're looking at it like, oh, yeah, wow, that's really nice, beautiful, good color. And then Bert goes, here, check out this car I just got for Leanne. And it's a fucking Mercedes sports car with it's got V8. It's one of those cars that just has like a couple weird numbers on it in a font, in a weird European font. Like they made 12 of them. And I'm like, all right, yeah.
We did mention your car you could rent at Avis.
Oh, God.
All right, what do we got?
We got a Delta Airlines flight from Salt Lake City to Portland turned around when the
Short little trip, too.
Flight crew, they realized that they were suffering cabin pressurization issues. 140 passengers on board were met by paramedics at the gate. It landed, and 10 people were treated for bloody noses and ruptured eardrums. The oxygen mask did not fall from the overhead compartments, and passenger J.C. Purser described the experience. It felt like somebody was stabbing her in the ear. She felt her ear pop from the pressure in the cabin and then bubble. So I guess, I mean, that's horrific, but the upside is they didn't have to listen to the captain trying to push that Delta Visa Gold card on you through the intercom while they landed.
I bet sitting next to that woman sounded like it felt like your ear was getting stabbed as well. She can't stop screaming about her ear being stabbed. And then, of course, what I want to see is all the traveling people, like traveling with their parents or something. Your nose is bleeding. What? Your nose is bleeding. What? Just forever. Finally, right? You can't hear the baby crying because its mom is crying so loud.
Right. All right, let's do some entertainment.
Yes, here's my bag here.
Look at us. We're flying through today.
Man, slow horses. Continue to love it. And I talk about slow. I am slow digesting any TV or anything like that. So no spoilers, no anything like that. I didn't leave my shit. Did I leave my light on out there? Fuck. I might have to run out for a second. Weinstein, I told you my buddy was over. We looked up the 100 best movies of all time. Did I already say that? Yeah, we couldn't find it. So what we did was we watched 2 great movies. So we watched Blood Simple, which I haven't seen.
That's the Coen brothers' first movie.
Since I was that age when it came out. I have not seen it. I had forgotten. It's great.
I watched it 6 months ago. Me and Owen sat down and watched it because it was the only Coen brothers movie he'd never seen. It's so simple and so fantastic.
And then we watched, because I guess because it's October coming up, that a lot of people are talking about scary movies and horror movies and that genre. Well, boy, do people talk about The Thing, which is a remake, but it was in the 80s. It was in the 80s with Kurt Russell. And I watched The Thing, and there's no thing there. It's no thing. It's nothing. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yep.
I was here's the weird part. Chris fell asleep watching it, and then I go, well, I guess you got to give it some credit, but boy, did they come up with the template, because this is exactly the movie Alien. And Chris goes, yeah, you know the problem with that? Alien came out 3 years before it.
Oh, no shit.
When you see this, you're like, oh man, did things go backwards? Like, this was not a lot of money, and it's legendary that way, but I would give it so much more credit if it came 3 years before Alien, because it had all the different types. They were as if they were in a ship. They were they were in Antarctica at this station, which was absolutely isolated. No one could get to or from it. And then all the types start distrusting. Literally, a thing comes out of the stomach of someone, and that indicates that that person was infected, and now you're guessing who else is. It's truly Alien.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there was a movie called The Thing back in the 50s. It was just a rudimentary sci-fi movie called The
and this
Thing.
was a remake of it.
Oh, it was?
By Carpenter,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. I just finished watching the entire series. There's 4 seasons. Sadly, the episodes are only like 30, 35 minutes each. But there's a series called Mr. In Between that is so rock solid. It's an Australian series. The star is a hitman, and he is the most badass. He's like a Walter White. He's that compelling. And
I can't wait.
It's so fucking good. I think it's on Hulu. It was an FX show that was on Hulu. And they could have run 3 more seasons. And the guy said he stopped because they were shooting a 14-hour day where he was dragging a body and burying it. And he started to feel like he was this character, and he couldn't snap out of it. So he had to quit. He had to stop.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I'm psyched to see that. And you got Damien Rice here.
One of our listeners turned me on to Damien Rice, who's an Irish singer, beautiful lyricist, incredibly moving, powerful lyrics. I mean, it's a little bit of, you feel a little bit like a pussy when you're listening to it. Like, it's a little bit like what you would hear on your, listener-sponsored alt soft rock station, but it's really great.
When you put it in your when you play it in your Mustang, does your Mustang automatically skip it or turn it off?
It won't go out of first gear. It stays in first gear.
Reverse. All right, let's make America Florida, y'all.
Let's do it.
Florida man lying in wait catches accused peeping Tom looking in teen daughter's window. The dad and his wife were sitting on their back porch when his wife spotted someone in their yard looking at them. The next night, the dad felt uneasy, so he pulled up a lawn chair in the dark part of his backyard and sat there to see if the man would come back. Around 8:30 p.m., the man arrived wearing the same shoes as the night before.
Same shoes.
Same shoes. He brought them just in case. And the guy came within 5 feet of the dad sitting in the chair. The dad got up and followed him, then saw the man looking into the window of the dad's 14-year-old daughter with his hands cupped around his eyes. Or
No, at least his hands
At
were
least it
there.
was that.
Yeah.
Armed with a baseball bat, the dad swung it at the man's back. Then the prowler started running away as the dad gave chase, yelling for someone to call the cops. Deputies said they were able to identify him as this guy Smith and interview him at home. The peeping Tom told them he was walking between two houses when another man started yelling about him being by a window and began he's the victim.
Yeah.
Smith said he wasn't being nosy and the homeowner was chasing him as if he had broken into the home. Later in the interview, however, Smith said he gets a thrill from going around homes. So they arrested him.
God, he should. Well, first of all, who wants to watch a 14-year-old girl alone in her bedroom? Are you shitting me? Just sitting in the corner of her bed, scrolling through TikTok hour after hour, and then, getting AI to write her Great Expectations essay, bitching to her best friend about how Danny hasn't asked her out. I mean, I would have grabbed the bat and started beating the girl with it.
Yeah. And you have a real problem. I mean, you're doing it way too often when you're outside the window and now you're mouthing the words to Taylor Swift songs because they're playing in every bedroom you're peeping in.
Yeah, right.
But I think this is a nice twist on how we do Florida man stories, because this could have been Florida peeping Tom chased by bat-wielding father of victim.
Right.
Instead, look how nice it is. The Florida man lying in wait catches an accused peeping Tom. Like, that's positive.
Yeah, I think this guy was a victim. He didn't go in the room. He's just hanging out outside. I mean, get some curtains.
Okay, real question. You ready? Not a joke. It's you, and it's your young daughter's bedroom. You're this guy, exact same scenario. You're walking up to him quietly. He has his hands cupped around his eyes, looking pressed against the glass. You have a baseball bat. What do you do?
I think in the back, I think was the move. I mean, because you want to neutralize the guy so that the police can come and arrest him. So, if you hit a limb, he can run away. But if you hit the back, you might break some ribs, knock the wind out of him. He falls down. You stand there threateningly while he lays on his back and you call the police.
So you don't think ankle or knee?
Knee is good.
I think I'm
like
swinging
knee.
really hard at a shin. I'm trying to break his leg, I think.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to go ahead because if you kill him, that's a whole other thing. But
And the back, I think the back, you can paralyze him.
Side of the knee is good. I like that. And then you follow it up. You follow it up with another shot. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see it. I mean, I would have to see a guy peering in, and I think it would be different if he entered the house. But if he was just peering in the window, I wouldn't want to kill him. I would just want him to get caught.
Problem in LA is we're arrested if we do this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's his word. I told you that story about my buddy, like during the pandemic. And he's a conspiracy theorist and all this, but he's very entertaining to me. He's a comedy writer. But anyway, he goes, Gibbons, you don't have a gun? I'm like, no, I don't have a gun. He's like, you got to get. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, when you have a gun, I hear all these stories like you shoot someone on your porch who's trying to break in, and now you're on the hook for like murder. He's like, you have to drag the body into your house after you shoot him. Everyone knows that. Like, I was the idiot. I was the idiot.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go on to you ready for this? Make Los Angeles, Florida. Here we go.
I think this is
A
our
friend of
first
mine.
Los Angeles one.
A friend of mine, I'm not going to name him. You know him as well. He has a wife who desperately wants to buy a scooter. So I have that Vespa, right, in LA, and she covets that. And so it's a big fight among them, right? Because he thinks she's going to die on it if she gets it. And he may lose this argument because she's really digging in. So I suggested if she does, why not take out a big life insurance policy on her? But then in thinking it through, you take out, this is like a Dateline or a Netflix murder doc where the first thing they look at is the husband who took out a life insurance policy
Yeah.
months before a woman dies, no
Yeah.
matter how she dies.
Yeah.
But he was very funny, but he's like, but I have the text exchange where I'm like, you're going to kill yourself. Don't do it. Like, it's all caps and all that.
All
So
right.
anyway, it made me think, we all in our friend groups, we all have people. There's a person living recklessly. There's a person that you almost want an intervention, whether they're doing too much drugs, alcohol, or they're just have that personality and they're constantly going for it, like with adventures. And it's almost as if they have a death wish. So, as an example, Greg, why wouldn't we approach Bert Kreischer, who constantly talks about his own mortality? He is terrified of his doctor's visits, which he does often, because he wants to keep maintaining this lifestyle of drinking too much, partying too much, and burning his candle at both ends. Why wouldn't we go to Bert and say, this is going to be zero sweat off your back, but Greg and I are going to take a life insurance policy out on Bert Kreischer?
Bert, we're calling to ask a favor. Would you mind if we bet on your mortality?
And
How
we
would
never
Leanne
want to
feel
collect.
about
We
it, though?
never want to collect on it.
But what if it happened? All right, say it happens. He dies. We go to the funeral and we see Leanne, his wife, who looks at us and knows we just made $1 million.
She also knows we just paid for the funeral,
That's true. That's a good point.
and she thanks us. And then
No.
she sees your Mustang Turbo, the new one.
Should I call Bert right now and ask him if we can do this?
Sure.
All right. No, I'm going to do it later, and we'll report on it next week.
Okay.
But, do you remember when we went to Boston University, the president of the school was a guy named John Silber. John Silber, right?
Yep.
And
He had one
he
arm.
was he had one arm, and he was a former CIA deep state guy. He worked under the original George Bush.
Some of
and
these facts might be true.
He was heavily involved in the Central American, like the overthrowing of governments. He was like
He was a very smart guy. We do
he's
know that.
very smart guy.
Most
Anyway,
students considered him evil.
there was Howard Zinn was on the staff of. He was a professor at the school,
Yes.
and he went head to head with Silber constantly, and so did a lot of the professors. There was a guy named Abramowitz. Do you remember that guy? And he was like,
with the hunger strikes.
Joseph Abramowitz, yeah,
Yes.
and he did all these hunger strikes. He was very anti-apartheid, which with Silber was heavily invested in South Africa. There was a lot of protests. That guy, by the way, ended up marrying Sarah Silverman's sister. Did you know
That's
that?
what I heard. And just to put, I'm so ashamed of this, but so this guy was very evolved at an early age and just was cause driven. Abramowitz.
Yeah.
So he goes on a hunger strike. So what do the idiots at BU, like me and my friends, do? We send him pizzas. We had him delivered. We found out where his apartment was, and we delivered pizzas.
What
idiots.
asshole.
What
It's
complete
amazing.
idiots.
When I think about the former version of myself, I can't. I can't think about the old me. He was such a fucking asshole in so many. Anyway, all right, but anyway, so John Silber took out a life insurance policy on every student at BU payable back to the university because his guys crunched the numbers and they said this is a good bet.
Right. They're like sad but true, having nothing to do with anything we do here at BU. It's across the board, 50 states, that they had a number, and this percentage of students, unfortunately, doesn't make it to 4 years and doesn't live for whatever reason. And so alumni could take out and pay for a life insurance policy and just, I think, get randomly assigned a student. And the students freaked out because, of course, we're like, he's going to raise the speeding limit on Com Ave. The elevators won't be inspected anymore.
Yeah. Get rid of it.
The refrigerators and all the cafeterias are going to go, up a few notches.
Yeah, get rid of health services, get rid of the red lights.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, so let's go to some sports.
Sports, here we go. Well, I like this. We're going to keep it short, but for the first time in the longest time, I actually bet on the Jets to win last night, Thursday Night Football, and they won. Now, the week before, I tried very hard to bet against them, and Gibbons wouldn't take the bet because he wouldn't bet against San Francisco. In other words, he wouldn't take the Jets. And so, of course, I wound up betting on the Jets, and I lost. But last night was very gratifying, and I'm in Tennessee where my phone can place live wagers all game long.
No.
Oh, it's in so many states. The BetMGM app doesn't work in California. As soon as I land here, it works. And I mean, you can chase your bad money. Like basically at the end of the game, it comes down to a bet because, you know, the live updating point spread and the live updating over under, it essentially gets down to, do you think there's going to be one more score? Like, here it comes. They have 3 timeouts. Do you think they're going to like, and you could, it's crazy. It's really going to bankrupt people.
Did you see Mahomes fucking charge down the field with 3 minutes left last week?
Well, I did see them given the game. I know I sound like Gibbons, but they were given the game by the refs at the end there.
Cut it out. Jesus Christ.
No. The calls that go their way, someone write if I'm wrong. I mean, there's too many clips I see. Barstool publishes them all the time. I mean, of course, the holding in the Super Bowl was the most criminal thing ever.
That was bad. Yeah, but
this one, they get a pass interference call. It seemed like a joke to me.
Yeah. Well, the other big sports thing is last week was the Paralympics, which is
para.
It does sound weird that they call it paralyzed Olympics. That doesn't sound like a lot of action. That just sounds like piles of bodies on a gym floor and somebody's blowing a whistle like, go! And they're like, we're paralyzed. What do you want us to do?
Oh, no.
But I guess it's I don't know. But it's inspirational. It's very competitive. These people are competitive. And not just on the floor, but especially in the parking lot trying to grab those 2 spots. There's just like, that's where shit gets heated.
That's where it happens?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all handy-capable.
They're handy-capable. Yeah. I wonder if you can bet on that. I remember
told you.
David Tell had a joke. He goes, just got back from the Special Olympics. He goes, just got back from the Special Olympics. Lost a lot of money on the 100-yard dash. Mongoloid my ass. That kid can run.
I remember that.
You almost don't need the joke. You only need the punchline to laugh at that.
You know, when I was doing, I was writing a pilot for CBS about an HR department, and my jokes were constantly getting outdated. And one of them, of course, was, you know, what do you call, like you can't call it a handicap spot. Handicap is out. Handicapable was out. Otherly abled was what I landed on. And then that one got outdated within months. It was a bit, it was a task keeping up with it. And then the other one was for being mentally, I don't even know how to refer to it, mentally special or challenged. The one that was in vogue for a couple of months while I was writing it was intellectually challenged. And I think I've told you that joke I had, but it wasn't really a joke. I mean, that sounds like you don't understand James Joyce. Not that you can't figure very simple things out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, now it's actually it's people with intellectual disabilities. That's the phrase you're supposed to use. Not intellectually disabled, but people with intellectual disabilities.
All right, I'll take that. We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah.
All right, where are we moving? Are we doing international?
Let's do international. Of course we're going to do international.
It's a big story.
Israel had a hand in the manufacturing of pagers that exploded on Hezbollah operatives this week, with this type of supply chain interdiction operation having been planned for at least 15 years.
Yeah, since they saw it on the wire where they gave them their phones that were the tracking devices were in them.
planning for the attack involved shell companies with multiple layers of Israeli intelligence officers and their assets fronting a legitimate company that produced the pagers. At least some of those doing the work unaware of what they were actually working on. 1 to 2 ounces of explosives and a remote trigger switch to set off the blast were planted in the pagers. The last 2 days of explosions in Lebanon triggered remotely with explosives inside pagers or walkie-talkies have killed at least 37 people and wounded 2,900.
Wow.
So it's pretty amazing. And the worst part is, where do you put a pager? You clip it about 4 inches from your cock.
Oh,
I
does
mean,
that work?
Yeah, that's why they did it. You have it in your pocket or you have it clipped on your belt, right?
Yeah, no, it's always clipped on the belt, I think.
Yeah.
Huh.
This was genius. I mean, I'm not weighing in on this conflict. I do not have a side, honestly, legitimately, but I gotta stand back and applaud the creativity and the ingenuity. The Israelis have always been at the forefront of guerrilla warfare, and this just takes it to a whole new level.
They, I think, developed the car bomb, not the IRA.
No, that was the Irish, the IRA. Yeah,
I think it was, and he went on to become the prime minister of Israel. I'm forgetting his name.
Netanyahu.
And he was a general.
Rabin.
No.
Rabin.
No. Oh, I should know his name. And I think I whatever, I could be wrong. I think he's credited with developing the car bomb. Anyway,
no, it was the IRA, and then the IRA came over and they trained the PLO.
What? Hey Siri, who invented the car bomb?
They're gonna think you're talking about that cocktail.
Hopefully she'll be like, invented is the wrong word. Oh. The Irish car bomb. Those are the first words.
Thank you very much.
While he worked at Wilson's Saloon in Connecticut? I don't even know. Anyway, the pager thing, though, but the shell company that was set up legitimately and had employees, imagine that guy working in there, going home to his wife every day like, yeah, she's so embarrassed telling her friends that her husband works in a pager company in 2021. It's like, honey, it's embarrassing. She's like, they have to be going out of business. She's like, I'm telling you, they're not. I don't know what's going on. They just say, keep working. We get raises every year.
Yeah, that was the greatest detail of a character. Remember on 30 Rock, Tina Fey's boyfriend was a pager salesman. But anyway, I felt bad because we have a very dear friend who's Lebanese, and he's got family over there. So yesterday, I paged him just to check in and see if everything's okay. I have not heard back, so I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have called.
Page went through, though. You do know that.
Well, maybe a lot of people are concerned and his pager's blowing up, you know?
Seen 3 days ago. That's what it says underneath the little page you sent.
All right, let's go to
by the way,
this day in history.
Some of those people with the pagers could have been on an airplane.
Yep.
Maybe they could track them too, and they knew that wasn't. But innocent people did die.
Oh, absolutely. Look, and again, what I said earlier, I don't want to be taken out of context. It may be, but I don't endorse this action. But these people are they're at fucking war. And you know, if you're gonna come up with a warfare, there may have been ancillary damage, but they really did target the other side, the soldiers on the other side for the most part.
Okay, this day in history?
This day in history.
Here we go. All right,
feels good today.
This first one is only interesting to me because I did not know that fox hunting is banned in England and Wales. I didn't know they did it.
Really?
But hundreds of thousands of rural protesters converged on London to demonstrate in favor of fox hunting, which 2 years later the House of Commons banned in England and Wales. So this is asking you, I think, when was this protest 2 years before fox hunting was banned in England and Wales?
1974.
Oh, I didn't even give you a range.
Okay, well, I don't need it. I think I'm right on the money.
You don't need it. All right, I'm going to give you 25 years.
1974.
It's 2002. That late. 2002.
Really? Because I was thinking about all the protests that were happening in the early 70s. All right, fair enough.
Okay, Greg, the first episode of Friends aired on NBC on this date in what year, give or take 3 years?
1991.
Oh, man, 1994.
Hey, now.
Yeah, you barely got
I
it.
remember we were just out of college, and when did Seinfeld start? I think Seinfeld was first.
Yeah, maybe.
I can't remember which was first.
92?
But I think they were on the same block, weren't they? Wasn't that like must
Hey,
watch
Siri,
TV?
when did Seinfeld first air on television?
I'm guessing 89, and it was
Siri just said, this is a weird turn from car bombs. It was July 5th, summer. That's right. It was summer. They tried on summer, and it was 89.
there. I go. I didn't need a range.
Look
on
at
that
you.
one.
Well, you did your own. When you do your own, it gets easier. All right, let's see here. Jamaican musician Bob Marley, who is especially known for Right Route. We know who he is. He did his last concert, a sold-out show in Pittsburgh, PA, and he died of cancer the following year, give or take 3 years. When was it? When was the last concert?
1982.
Damn you, 1980.
Nice. I
The
remember
American
being
film.
in high school, and these guys, Doug Gorlin and Brian Morgan, they came into school, and we used to have these morning meetings, and they played Bob Marley music. It was the day he died. So I guess I was a freshman.
The American film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid had its world premiere on this date in what year, give or take 3 years again?
1971.
Damn it. I'm going to trim it. 69. Because you're not,
I'm on fire today.
well, you're on fire missing them almost by the full margin I'm giving you.
That's all right. It's not a big margin
Is
you're
it?
giving me.
Lewis and Clark arrived in St. Louis, Missouri. Some people call it the Mid-Coast, at the end of their daring expedition to the Pacific Northwest. So in other words, they were returning, and they
Okay.
arrived in St. Louis on this date in what year, give or take 30 years?
All right, so this was before before we bought that whole area from the French. So this was before the Revolutionary War, or it was 1680.
You're only off by 126 years. 1806.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Your thinking was leading you the right way. All right,
yeah,
and this has been Greg barely getting by in this day in history.
All right, that
All right.
wasn't bad.
Letters to the editor. Here we go.
Okay, we got Bowles. Bowles wrote in. Not sure if you were aware, but Road Dogs, which is a movie I did with Doug Stanhope, is currently available on Tubi. I don't think you've mentioned that on any of your shows yet.
I want to see that.
It's actually really good.
I do want to see it.
So, yeah, check it out. Doug won awards in a couple festivals for his acting. And it's dark. It's a dark, very true depiction of a guy who's the bottom rung on the stand-up comedy ladder, with a guy who takes buses from town to town and makes just enough money to get a Motel 6 on his nights off. and lives off the fucking chicken wings in the green room and drinks himself to sleep every night. It's dark, but it's really, there's a lot of funny stuff in it as well.
I want to see it, and some inside baseball stuff, which I'll appreciate.
John Steinbeck said, "Please, Mike, stop. Garfield's owner is named John. Odie is the stupid dog. Bill Murray once infamously voiced Garfield for a failed animated movie. Could you maybe just tell the top 10 Bill Murray stories that you Hollywood insiders have heard?" Okay. Well,
that's a funny. He says he has the last 8 digits of my credit card. Meanwhile, I haven't heard back from them. I'm probably, my credit rating is probably 150 at this point, and from that thing, but and I think it's Steinbach. But okay, well, what do you want me to do, man? I can't defend Garfield. Also, I remember I was shooting something and we were making fun of film junkets or whatever, and a real film junket was happening, and it was Jack Black for the Garfield movie.
Really?
In the Beverly Hills, whatever that, Doheny, whatever the Four Seasons. I don't know. That's
who I think is in Garfield also is T.J. Miller, wasn't he?
I think you might be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to obituaries. Here we go.
Let's do it.
And that's all, folks.
So Tito Jackson has passed away at 70 years old.
Ooh, it's the Jackson 3 now.
Yeah, I don't even know how many are left, but Tito was the second oldest after Jackie, followed in age by Jermaine, Marlon, and Miguel. And they forget Janet, but she was not in the Jackson 5.
Not in the 5. She was the Marky Wahlberg to the New Kids on the Block.
Oh, interesting. But everyone knows Tito's name. And
she was the Andy Gibb to the Bee Gees.
Oh, okay. And Mikey died. God, he died a while ago now. What was it, 2009?
That segment's over. We're not playing that anymore.
Yeah, sorry. Give or take 1 year. All right, and now we're gonna cheer up after hearing about poor Tito.
We are. Here's the funnies.
Here we go.
All right. So if you're just joining the podcast and you've been in a cave, we have been doing a single caption comic strip that people are giving us their punchlines for. The winner each week gets a signed koozie mailed to their house. They don't have to pay the $10 that everybody else has to pay, including
Let me tell you about
shipping.
the koozies.
Yeah.
I think as I sit here, I am up to date. Now, listeners, it may not have arrived. Sunday's not a mail day, but give it till, I'm going to say Wednesday, and then write us in if you have not received your koozies, even though sometimes they take long. We've heard that back from people. But I think I'm up to date.
Unbelievable.
Happened this week.
Well, I just sent you 2 winners today. So you may be short
behind.
2 koozies, but if you want to get one, this is the time when Mike has some time on his hands. Go to fitzdog.com, look for the koozie, click on it. You pay us $10 through Venmo, including shipping, and you can keep your drink cold for the winter. All right.
Or hot. It keeps the hot side hot.
All right. Last week's caption is, it's a woman sitting on a toilet. You can't see her above her chest, but she has her panties around her ankles.
Hope it's a woman.
And she looks like a woman sitting on a toilet, and there's 2 dogs, and they're looking at her. The door is open. She's left the door open, and they're looking at her. And Ryan's submission is she crying because we ate the baby's face? Wow.
All right. So that's where women do their crying?
Well, she has her elbows on her knees, so you can almost picture that she has her... It looks like her face would be in her hands here.
Not me. I think she's on her phone, and she's like an anti-vaxxer and just spreading it all over Facebook. That's what I see.
Yeah. Harvey Booth said, how can you respect anyone who doesn't eat their own shit?
Interesting, Harvey.
Brian Woodhouse said, number 1 or number 2? ankles lifted, muscles clenched. Got to be number 2.
These dogs are very deductive.
Don P says, does the bidet clean peanut butter?
All right, Don's in the lead.
All right, Jacob Tinman said, you can drink the toilet water if you leave me the panties.
Oh, boy, bargaining. Hard bargains.
Rich Kennedy said, were you a bad boy? Why is she shitting in your water dish?
Okay.
Emmerich
They don't share it.
Holzpop says, dibs on the floater.
She doesn't flush? Okay. Nick
Wow, the logic police over here.
Yeah.
Mike Jugensky, ever meet Chuck Berry's dogs? Some wild-ass bitches. Not sure about that.
Is it because he famously was going number 2, I think?
Yeah, on tape. He was into like filming women taking a shit. That was their...
Right.
He had a camera, a mini camera hidden under the toilet seat at his restaurant in Illinois. Colin McLeaf said the heavy panting and red rockets are making it hard to focus, boys. That's what the woman is saying.
Okay.
CS says it's so creepy the way they have to make eye contact when they take a dump.
Okay.
Nick Columbus says, you know what, Rover? I think this time we rub her nose in it.
Not bad.
Joanne says, do you think it's a turd or a toilet baby?
Joanne.
Oh, Joanne.
Disgusting.
Jeez. Steve Grosso, our finally one. The dogs are sniffing. Yep, she ate them. We got to get the fuck out of Ohio.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I guess it's a Haitian gal is implicit in that
That's
joke.
what we're thinking.
Based on the terrible false stereotypes that they're talking about there.
It sounds like you liked Does the Bidet Clean Peanut Butter from Don P. I'd say that was a clear winner.
And since I'm logic police, it's why they're so eagerly watching, I think. And it's a woman. Like, a lot works in that joke based on the stereotypes and and the old jokes about that. So, yeah, I like that one.
Okay, in fairness, we had a lot of... I don't put all the submissions in. I put in what I think are the strongest ones. My judgment is not always great. It depends on what strikes me. But there were a number of peanut butter submissions. I felt like this was the strongest version of that joke.
All right.
So, Don, send us your address. We'll get you a koozie out right away. Next week, the caption is 2 men. They are angels. They have on white kind of smocks with wings behind them. Neither one looks happy. They look distressed, I think. Distressed, would that be the right word for their facial expressions?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're both in the sky. They're both standing on a cloud facing each other. And one guy is talking to the other who looks quite glum. I'm going to say he looks worried, concerned, but not happy. They both look concerned.
They look concerned and distressed. So send us your submissions at fitzdogradio@gmail.com. Do me a favor, write your punchline, put your name directly underneath it. It helps me put it into the doc. Thank you. All right, let's get to the real comics. Hager is sitting in his chair. He's got a little goblet full of, what do they drink back then?
Oh, they drink. I used to just shoot that right out, and I don't know what it is. Out of their chalice. What was it?
It was.
It ends with a K. Grunk? Conk?
Grunk? No.
Something?
Somebody email us. The daughter is she's very concerned,
Hey,
and she
Siri,
goes.
what did Vikings drink? Mead. They drink mead.
That's what it is. Where's Chris Denman when we need him?
What does Siri think about
Chris
my
has
inquiries?
been ghosting us. He never comes on the show anymore. All right, so she goes, a friend told me some girl was making moves on Lute. Lute is her boyfriend. She goes, I'm going to confront her. And then Hager says, good idea. And then she goes, find out what she sees in him. So he's shitting on her boyfriend. Well, first of all, I don't think in the 1400s, when there's no running water and women are being abducted. I don't think women make moves. The only move a woman makes on a man back then is a head fake so they can duck into the woods and run.
Probably, yeah. Although you want that protection, I guess. You got to bet on a good one. I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't. Based on Lute. Lute is like a little skinny musician, though. I don't think he's going to protect anybody.
All right.
All right, so let's get to the Lockhorns. I fucking love this one. The doctor is looking in Leroy's ear with the flashlight, and he goes, "No wonder you have a song stuck in your head. There's an earbud lodged in there."
That's the one you love.
I fucking love that.
Okay.
I didn't at first, and then the more I thought about it, the more. All right. Anyway, the other one is Leroy is at a buffet, and his plate is just spilling over with food, and Loretta says to her friend, "Leroy's willpower won't." That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's won't power.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think maybe they could have phrased it like that. Won't power is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, is everyone in luck. This week's Garfield. You ready? This is the sixth best of all time.
Wow.
And boy, does it show. Okay, here's the deal. First frame, Garfield comes up to a reclining chair that has a lever on the side. He's looking like really tired. I mean, his eyes are always half closed, but he's looking really tired. So the next frame, the second frame.
Well, you got to point out that the leg rest is partially raised. It's about halfway raised.
It's partially raised. Second frame, he goes over to it. John, the owner, is watching this now. He looks very concerned about what Garfield is up to. And Garfield in the second frame has his head in that footrest, like he's facing the chair, and he's just put his head between the seat cushion and the footrest. I've said headrest, the footrest. And then he's grabbing the lever. And oh my God, does this pay off in the third frame? It doesn't. There is no
There's
third frame.
no third frame.
That's the whole goddamn thing. That's what it is. I just described the whole thing to you. That's what it was.
I thought
This guy
you would
got
love
paid
this.
for this.
I thought you would love this because this looks like he's committing suicide. Is that the joke? That he's using
That's
it like a
good question.
guillotine?
Is that the joke? Is the question with every Garfield, I think.
It looks to me like he's committing suicide. He's got his head in the guillotine and he's pulling the lever down. I think he's just done with life. He's over it. And John looks very concerned. You'd think that he'd be happy because all Garfield does is steal food off of his plate and make him look ridiculous in front of like dates that he has.
Does John always eat lasagna? I don't understand.
Oh, maybe.
No, I don't know. All right.
All right. Speaking of I don't understand, here's a guy who weighs about 113 pounds. He wears a red bow tie. He's got big, stupid feet. He's sitting at the table with a 10, an unequivocal. I don't care what city you're in. People say like, oh, she's a Des Moines, Iowa 10. Blondie is an LA 10. She's a New York. She's a Paris 10.
She's an Earth 10.
She's an Earth 10. So they're sitting there and they're drinking coffee. And he goes, boy, what I wouldn't give to call in sick today. And she goes, what would you do if you did, dear? Okay, that's
Let's hear
all.
it.
That's all I need to hear. Are you what would I do? Oh, let's see what he would do. I could go golfing or binge watch that new show or nap all day. And then she goes, if you said clean out the garage, I would have been sold, dear. All right, here's what I would do. Here's what I would do.
Is her private parts.
I
That's
would
what
go. I would clean that garage, and then I would hang out in that garage. There would be oil leaks in that garage. If she said to me, what would you do? She constantly is inviting him into her sexual world, and he doesn't fucking get it. He says, I want to call in sick today. What would you do, dear? He just needs to look her in the eye and say, I want to put you down on that couch in the living room. I want to slide that velvet skirt up. I want to put my face down in your peat. I want to make you... Are you kidding me? Look at the rack on her with that fucking mauve top that's hugging her breasts. It's insane.
And at this point, she has to be like, You know, dear, if you had said you'd sit in the running car in the closed garage, I would have been sold.
If you said you would put your head in the reclinable lazy boy and suffocated yourself.
And if John just look on, yeah.
All right, listen, Mike.
We did it.
We did it it was exactly an hour and a half, which is, I
Look at
think, a
us.
pretty good length. That's a good one. If you guys want to get out and have some fun this weekend, it's Sunday night, but you got the whole week ahead of yourselves. Go to Game Time, download the app, and use the code PAPERS for $20 off on your first purchase. I want to remind you my special You Know Me is out on YouTube. Check that out. Mike, anything you want to promote?
Well, I don't want you to see The Thing, and I know there's big fans out there. Yeah, see Alien. How about that?
There you go. See Alien.
Yeah, why not?
All right, we want to thank Midcoast Media for their fantastic job editing and producing and uploading and tagging and social mediaing and just generally caring about our podcast. And thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. Tell your friends. Don't forget, leave comments on the YouTube channel and spread the love.
All right, everybody. Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Confident misinformation, plus a little news. Confident misinformation to take away my blues. Confident misinformation about the facts and dates. Confident misinformation, but it's never late. Read all about it until you feel woozy. Maybe someday you'll get that koozie. Take it easy, we'll see you later. It's Mike and Greg on the Sunday papers. Confident misinformation falling on your lap. Confident misinformation and the Game Time app. Confident misinformation, more wrong than right. Confident misinformation with Greg and Mike. With Greg and Mike. With Greg and Mike.
Calvin and Hobbes is better than you think?